President Cyril Ramaphosa has approved a law to set up a new agency that will develop and manage the country's water infrastructure and attract financing for new projects. According to the Presidency, this new state-owned company called National Water Resources Infrastructure Agency will ensure water security over the next decade. I'm now joined by Jay Bhagwan, Senior Research Manager at the Water Research Commission. A very good afternoon to you, Jay. Thanks very much for your time. You know, earlier I was speaking to an academic, but about inner city rejuvenation and housing and the like. And among the things she said right at the beginning when we kicked off our conversation was that South Africa has answers on paper. And she also spoke about plans that we always have, which she says are always good and progressive. And the same applies to the laws that this country, and I'm reminded of that as I look at this new law that the president has signed, and add to that the fact that a lot of these agencies and state-owned enterprises are set up, but over the years they have proved to be not so great at doing what they are supposed to do.
Well, thank you and good afternoon. I think, we need to have a more positive mindset around some of the strategies. The kind of development of the National Resource Infrastructure Agency has been too long in the making. It's taken a long process, several administrations that have deliberated on the rationale around having this agency. And, in modernizing water management, in building greater capability of the kind of legacy situations we had inherited from the past. So just to articulate it, that, when in the previous dispensation of the previous government, water management was largely around building infrastructure, okay? And in our new administration, we brought greater emphasis around efficiency and regulation around the whole water environment, the water supply infrastructure, etc. And the current setup where this huge construction element rested in the department was quite conflicting, in the sense that the department is a regulatory agency sitting with the infrastructure, and it cannot regulate itself into greater efficiency. So the kind of thinking around transferring the infrastructure, out of government department into an entity to allow greater flexibility, because this is infrastructure that is aging, that needs to be renewed. We need more new infrastructure, and on the back of it, you need to attract, greater financing to achieve this objective. And having it in a public entity, because it's a national asset, makes sense to turn around and build a business case that would attract these financing elements, etc., but also push the boundaries of efficiency. And I think we shouldn't see, all public agencies as failures. There are, big names that have, created this perception. But there are many public agencies that are quite great and doing a great job. And I think this one is of a strategic nature and should be given the chance to demonstrate, but also give government the opportunity to separate these functions where they can become the regulator over the whole water environment and not be the player and the kind of referee in all of this. So this change, this rationalization of the movement of this infrastructure component and that capacity into a financing institution, for me, seems as a good way to start building the capacity and the momentum to ensure that our infrastructure delivers sustainable water supply into the future.
There's no denying the fact that there are, many, great institutions that are actually doing some really great work. You have the SARS, notwithstanding whatever other problems they may have. You have your SANRALs that have done well in building roads across the country. But there are people who argue that setting up agencies can't be the default position where government departments aren't doing what they are supposed to do.
It's not a new agency. It's just a rationalization of the institutional structure. Okay, like I said, it's a legacy situation where the previous TCTA was created as a financing mechanism for the Lesotho Highland Scheme, and through the period expanded to support other funding mechanisms for state infrastructure, water infrastructure. Okay, and it kind of, in the rationalization, made sense to put the financing and the assets together at one home, so that we could do a seamless approach of managing and making the infrastructure efficient to give us greater, what I would say, service going into the future. And allow the department, because the government department, through its legislation, has been designed to become a regulator, oversee all the functions of the different tiers of service delivery mechanisms in the country. And this rationalization makes sense, and it's quite a modern approach looking forward that can hopefully turn the tides and attract the right financing mechanisms, etc., to ensure that we're able to fund and maintain the operation and maintenance of this very strategic asset.
But has it been proven? Has it been proven that this particular model will indeed guarantee, finances for our bulk water supply?
Yes, look, like I said, that it's been a long period where the several options have been examined and tested, from using existing institutions like the water boards to the CMAs, to various other modalities. And from all the studies that have been done, to my knowledge, the signs were saying that the rationale of merging the financing arm of TCTA with the infrastructure asset element of the Department of Water Affairs made a good fit and made a good business case in terms of moving this part of the country's equation forward. So it's been well informed, it's been well studied, it's been well advised, both internally and globally, as a mechanism to ensure future sustainability.
How much of it perhaps has to do also with the view that the private sector, even though proponents would argue that it is better placed, that it cannot be trusted with this kind of responsibility?
I don't see any kind of issues of that nature. The private sector has been involved very largely in a lot of water infrastructure activities in the country. The whole Lesotho Highland Scheme has been funded largely by the private sector. So this kind of notion that we are privatizing, the state asset doesn't come forth. All we are doing is that we're building a more efficient mechanism to oversee the management of a very strategic asset in the country. And, we need to give it the opportunity. Like I said, several studies have been done. The current modality was not the very efficient modality, since a large part of the focus and the capacity of the internal unit of the department came from a history of building infrastructure. We now have to maintain and manage this infrastructure, and this marriage between two institutions, like I said, comes with sound advice and strategic analysis as the way to go in terms of keeping state assets within the state through a public entity, and the infrastructure agency is wholly owned by government.
A quick one. Will the government solely have a say in both the composition, who staffs it, and all of that? Because often that's where things get bogged down.
Yeah, so the bill makes it very clear and gives a lot of stipulation around how the infrastructure agency is going to be managed, from its board, the appointment of board members, the appointment of executive, and all those elements. So all those processes have been well thought out, in terms of making it a very efficient machine without, bringing a lot of those kind of compromises and challenges we have kind of experienced in managing state entities in the recent past. So a lot of learning from the last 10 years have gone into ensuring that we don't create a new bureaucracy in the process, but actually create a vehicle that's going to be efficient and run efficiently.
Jay Bhagwan, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.